Today is Monday, May 20, around 8 o'clock. I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. Been pretty productive. It was a couple of weeks of very low energy, so trying to pick up where I left off. Can't find my little microphone adapter thing I bought for my phone. My son probably relocated it. So I'm doing this on my computer. I hope the audio isn't garbage. Alright, so the videos that I will be attaching this to, I think it's from about last Thursday until Sunday. On Friday night, I picked up my first shift with Medely. I feel like it's Medely, but they have a website, no app. It's very easy. You apply just like you would to any other job, and then they'll set up an interview, which was about 30 minutes. It was a registered nurse that spoke with me, and then they cleared me for certain areas based on my experience. So I am cleared for med-surg, tele, pre-op, long-term care, clinic type work, and I don't know if I said tele already, but so med-surg or med-surg tele combos, whatever. So anyhow, it was very strange. On Friday, I decided to open it up, and I did, and there was a lot of jobs available, which is very weird because normally they'll send a text, and by the time you go log in, even if it's in a minute later, the job will be gone. They book very quickly. So booking it was very easy. It felt fake. You sit there, there's no recruiter, nobody, no go-between, and you say book it, and then doesn't tell you the hospital name until after you book it, which I find to be, kind of weird. But I think you could just cancel it real fast if you decided to, I don't want to go to that hospital. Once you book it and you see where it is, because they'll tell you the city, but not specifically what hospital. So I booked it on Friday about 4 something. I could look up on my phone, but I booked it about 4 o'clock p.m. I called, and I'm pretty sure it was a house supervisor that answered, or someone similar in staffing, and I asked if there was a possibility for cancellation, because I let them know that I would be driving a couple of hours to get there, and I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be doing that for nothing. And they said, nope, we need the help, it's not going to be canceled. So I went, and I figured also that if I was a little late, they would understand, which I normally wouldn't chance it like that, but I looked at the map, and it appeared that I'd have enough time. And then when I got on the road, there's a couple of traffic situations. I don't remember if there was an accident that I saw, but there was traffic multiple times, probably having to do with the freeway, the interchanges, or whatever you call that, when the freeways intersect and you have to change for some reason. That makes people slow down. So I got there, walk into the building at 7:02. It was crazy. It was fun. The adrenaline wore off around, I would say, 11 o'clock, and my body was saying, why are you doing this? I hadn't worked for 5 months because I took time off, like I said, to finish my master's. So my body was exhausted. By 11 o'clock, the adrenaline wore off, and luckily I had a chance to go grab a couple Tylenol, an Atarax, and then that helped me and then plus to sit down for a few minutes, it helped me to regroup and move on with the night. But I was late with everything because it took I would say a good 15 to 30 minutes for the house supervisor. There was another person onboarding as well, so they had me fill out the form for your internet access and their access to the Pyxis for the medicines. So we did all that like downstairs in the house soup office. And so that took some time. We took the other guy to his unit and then she took me to mine. And I would say I got access about 9:30 to the computer and a little later than that for the Pyxis. So, of course, things were behind, but it's expected in this situation. It wasn't as streamlined as I was told by Medley, but I think that just depends on the hospital. So they don't have a dummy badge or things like that for you so that you can get into the med rooms and things like that. So you're just having to ask somebody all night long to open the door for you. There was a person who normally access charge, and he was amazing, but he had patients that day and onboarding preceptee, so a new grad registered nurse who was doing the bulk of the patient care, but I'm sure needed help every once in a while. So there wasn't a charge per se, but he did all the charge activities and still had a wonderful attitude, even though he was wearing 10 hats. They were just happy I was there, because if I wasn't, then they would have been out of ratio. So they were happy, and I was happy that, and it didn't click in my head that we didn't have a charge until around midnight. And I went and told him, you didn't tell me you had patients and you were precepting and all this. And he's like, yeah. And he just had the best attitude that we're just getting things done. So the night before, I slept about 5 hours because I don't go back to the day shift, so I always sleep in the day. I went 24 hours without food, which was on the strange side. But by the time I booked it and I got on the road, you figure I booked it at 4 and I had to get there at 7, and it was at least 2 hours away. So I didn't have time to think about food. I didn't remember I hadn't eaten until I was driving. The drive home was only an hour and a half. That was really nice. And my husband got some brownie points. He made me a fresh gluten-free pizza with pepperoni. So when I got home, it was just coming out of the oven. I got in the pool, had a glass of wine, and then I took a nap for a few hours. The nap, it was frustrating to wake up in a few hours. I got up, did some stuff, took another couple hour nap, did some stuff, and then went to bed for the night. So it took me a good 2 days to recover. It was tough on my body. With all the autoimmune and things that I got going on, I had a lot of fun working because I genuinely like it, but my body was exhausted. And I don't feel like I'm still recovering today, which 2 days to recover for me is not bad. Usually it takes longer, but I tend to work 3 in a row as well, so that would be the reason. I ended up with med-surg patients, so I had 5. I started the shift with 3 because they gave one to someone else for some reason. So I think they decided it themselves, and then they had them give it back to me, and one patient had discharged. So then in order to make room later on towards midnight for another nurse to get a tele-admit, they gave me her one med-surg patient. So there's always a game of musical chairs, or quite often there are musical chairs going on. My patient had a TURP, which is the transurethral resection of the prostate or partial prostate or whatever. I'd never had someone post-TURP like that. I would say probably had it 5 hours prior. So that was my first. I knew enough to ask for help, and I said, because it looked like it was flowing initially, and then it stopped, it clotted off. So the not charged, wonderful charge came and helped me. We couldn't get it cleared. We had to order a bladder ultrasound because they don't have a bladder scanner. So that took a while. He was in quite a bit of pain from the growing pressure in the bladder, but finally got it cleared, and then it did clot off one more time. But other than that, by that point I knew how to handle it, and it really took quite a bit of. It was very difficult to get the clot out. The doctor had me partially deflate the balloon, so I partially deflated it. The doctor happened to come in and was there when I was doing it, so that's nice because you have somebody who's more educated, she's a resident, but I still believe that she had obviously more expertise. So she helped me. She's just watching, making sure I did it right. And she came in right when I had cleared the clot. So everybody was happy all around. The other patients were okay. What I thought was funny afterwards is Medley send you a congratulations shift text message. I had done an interview with one of the Medley jobs, so they didn't count that as a shift. It was a 4-hour shadow type shift, and it was at a podiatry clinic, which was awesome, but it was down the hill, very far from me. But didn't get a call back for that, so I obviously think they went somebody else. And so on Sunday morning, almost right when I got out, I got a congratulations text from Medley for finishing my first shift, and they said that I can buy or order a badge and they would send it. I saw a guy with it, and I guess I didn't realize that you had to work one shift because it did feel very weird running around without a badge. And Medley, the text message is something like, oh, it's required that you wear a badge. So I think it's just a badge that says Medley, and it says your name and your position, but it doesn't say anything else. And I don't think there's a picture, but I'm guessing that meets a requirement. So I felt like a rando all night long. I think that's it pretty much. On the way home, I heard a quote on Kayla, and it's a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for, by John A. Shedd. And they said they think it's him, and some people say it was Einstein, but I love that because it just helped confirm at the perfect time that I needed to continue to put myself out there, do things that scare you, because you're trained as a nurse and you're able to handle the big stuff. You're able to handle the hard stuff. And I would eventually like to make a switch to critical care, which I'm trying to do right now. I'm applying for nurse educator jobs. So I'm having to put myself out there, and unfortunately that means you're going to be out in the waves that sometimes feel overwhelming. But anyhow, it was a perfect time to get that little tidbit of information to store in my noggin. That is all.